So I thought I was just going to dabble in the First Descendant to scratch the looter shooter itch I've had recently, but I accidentally ended up spending over 50 hours in the game. And even though this video is technically sponsored, I did not need to spend nearly that much time. I was also surprised to notice 10 things this game does that I wish Destiny would do immediately. So while doing research for this video, it was interesting that when I watched some of the launch reviews from 13 months ago, a good amount of the pain points have actually been addressed by recent updates. I know, a live service game with a rocky launch, name a more iconic duo other than My Tits. But now that it's season 3 and we're 13 months in, it is nice to see the devs actually trying to make the game good. Let me briefly tell you what I did in the game and what playing it is actually like. So I did the campaign, unlocked a bunch of characters, got all the achievements, and tried some of the endgame. All without spending a single dollar, mind you, as the game is free to play. If you take Destiny's weapons, planets, and missions, then sprinkle in Warframe's characters, abilities, and mods, then make the robot dinosaurs from Horizon into bosses, and finally give everyone a grapple hook and put them in a bikini. Congratulations, you've got the First Descendant. Now, one mistake I made is spending 25 hours playing through the whole campaign on normal, because typically looter shooters like this don't really open up and get good until you reach max level and get a decent build going and put the game on hard mode. It turns out I could have just skipped all that because they just added this thing called Boost Up, which is free and immediately unlocks a character called Bunny, puts her at max level, and gives you a full ultimate tier loadout. The ultimates in this game are basically exotics from Destiny, but you can have a bunch of them on at once. All things I had already individually grinded for myself after looking up meta builds for Bunny. Ooh. On one hand, I'm glad I did it because researching every piece of the build myself helped me to understand what everything does and why. It also taught me a lot of aspects of the game, like how farming works, how loot drops work, what a lot of the materials are, etc. But if I had my time again, I would just activate the free boost immediately, as this unlocks hard mode, which makes the enemies more engaging, and it gives you a bunch of endgame materials, and it helps you quickly unlock Ultimate Bunny, who's just Bunny with slightly better stats, but is way hotter. More importantly though, it starts a series of quests called the Boost Path, which basically just walk you through all the important areas and mechanics of the game while giving you a bunch of awesome loot. But how does it feel to play the First Descendant? Well, the weapons kind of feel like Destiny, except you're in third person. I think they feel about as good as they possibly can for third person, but to me, it will always feel inherently more satisfying to shoot stuff in first person. For 3P, it's solid though. Where they make up for it is with the abilities. For example, let's take Bunny. Her main thing is that she runs giga fast, and while she's doing that, a pulse of electricity repeatedly goes off around her. The faster she moves, the faster the pulse ticks, doing more DPS, doing more damage. With her, you don't really even need to use your weapons for most of the encounters. You can, don't get me wrong, and you will have to, especially against bosses, but her primary DPS with this build is just running zoomies around enemies. I am still bad at this game though, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. However, I didn't get tired of this playstyle for my entire 50 hours. The adrenaline and dopamine just flooding my arteries every time I go fast is so addictive. And she's just one of 20 unique characters. Are the others this good? I have no idea because I didn't level anyone else. Why would I? I never got sick of this playstyle. LMAO. Now, from a game critic's perspective, is the First Descendant a perfect 10 out of 10 masterpiece? No, it has its weaknesses, of course. For example, you might want more gameplay variety in its mission structure, or think that the visuals are a bit hit and miss sometimes. But honestly, the action is what carried it for me. I am about to say something wildly offensive and heretical, so strap in, boys. Recently, I started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. So far, I've put about 10 hours in. Obviously, you can't judge a game like that after only 10 hours because it's such a slow burn, but I have to be honest. So far, I am falling asleep the entire time. I'm not saying First Descendant is objectively a better game than Red Dead Redemption 2, but if we're just comparing the amount of happy chemicals they've both given me, First Descendant is winning hands down. Zooming around as sexy Sonic killing 100 enemies per second is lighting my brain and my balls on fire. So in my mind, I've put First Descendant in the comfort food category, like a McDonald's cheeseburger, for example. Are the food critics gonna review a McDonald's cheeseburger and tell you it's a cuisine for the ages? No. But is it still a naughty, delicious treat that you can enjoy and go hog wild devouring? You bet your greasy mitts it is. That was an S-tier metaphor. I'll also say that I personally never felt pressured to spend a single dollar to enjoy my 50 hours of content, and I haven't. But I also don't care about cosmetics, so your mileage may vary. Now, let me tell you about the 10 things this game does that I love and think Destiny should adopt immediately. Some are small, but some are like foundational level changes. This is my character Jerv and my dog Derv. The first thing I absolutely love that this game does is the library. This is an outrageous repository of just every possible thing and item in the game with all the info you'll ever need. Let's say I want to grab the Last Dagger handgun. I just click it. It tells me here's everything you need to make this gun. And I'm like, great. How do I get the first thing? I bring it up and it's like, okay, of all the activities in the game, these are the two that are dropping this item. So if I want the Last Dagger polymer, I've got normal or hard. Hard usually has a higher drop rate. I click this and it's like, yeah, here you go. There it is. Last Dagger polymer. Go and do this activity to get that thing. Imagine never having to leave the game and Google like where to get a thing. It's just always here for everything. If I want to get this guy, great. I come here, obtainable through research, all good. That means I need to get all of these items and each of these also has every possible location to find the thing. Unbelievably helpful. Which leads me to the second thing that I love that this game does, which is you will have seen the sheer specificity of the information. So if I'm trying to find this Last Dagger polymer, I click on this mission, it tells me right there, 25%. So I'm probably gonna have to do this around 4 times to get the thing. None of this like smoke and dagger, oh, it's likely, it's unlikely, you know, just tell me the number, tell me exactly how often it's dropping, and I love that. Or if I wanna look for an item, let's say I wanna get a reactor. So I can come here to the library and say, all right, I want a reactor, but I don't just want any reactor. I want an ultimate tier reactor, which is like the exotic. I want it to be electric and I want it to be singular. This is all the places that are currently dropping this exact style of reactor. Click this, bada bing, bada boop. There's other reactors listed there in the rewards, but the one that we just searched for will also be dropping just constantly in this mission. The equivalent in Destiny is like saying, I would like to find a Matador shotgun and I only want the Matador to drop with like a handling masterwork. It's filtering by that level of specificity and I love that. Which leads me to thing number 3, and that is the drop protection. If I go back to the, let's say Last Dagger, I'm like, great, how do I find this polymer? I say set target reward. Basically, I've told the game, I would like to find this thing. And it's a 25% chance. And I did this the other day. Every time it doesn't drop at that 25% chance, this progress bar goes up. I can't remember if it's exactly a 1-to-1. So I was trying to find something the other day for a 25% drop chance. And after 4 attempts, I didn't get it, but this was jumping up periodically. And then I think it was the 5th attempt, you just get it guaranteed. Destiny has this, I believe, for like some specific like raid exotics or something like that, but just every item in the game has this, so you're always guaranteed after a certain amount of time to get the thing. Such a basic like no-brainer mechanic that I absolutely love, because having to do an activity like 8 times for a supposed 25% drop is just the worst feeling in the world, and that would happen to be in Destiny all the time. Okay, the 4th thing is these shape stabilizers. So I can't remember the exact numbers and percentages, but I'll tell you conceptually what this does and I'll just make up the numbers. So basically, if you open a chest at the end of a mission, and let's say you're looking for an item that has a 1% chance, using a shape stabilizer increases that chance from 1 to 10 to 20%, and it reduces the most common items from, you know, let's say it was a 40% chance to get this other thing, that drops that down to like a 20%. So you're more likely to get the rare thing and less likely to get the common thing. Conceptually, I love that. Yet another bad luck protection style item. Okay, the 5th thing I love is that you can re-roll weapon perks. So let's say I have this Thunder Cage SMG. You'll see it's got those 4 bonuses: rounds per mag, fire team attack, electric attack. Let's say I only want to keep the firearm attack. I can lock that and then re-roll the others. Let's say I like all of them and I hate this and this one's wasted on me. Now it's going to be more expensive because you're keeping 3 out of the 4, but you can just keep rolling this bad boy until you get something cool that you do like. Imagine being able to lock your Matador and you keep opening shot, but just re-roll the other perk. Obviously, you'd have to balance this with like appropriate material costs, but the idea of re-rolling certain perks and locking others is super cool. We used to have this with like, let's say glass needles back in Destiny 1. Bring it back is all I'm saying. Okay, the next thing I love is that you can farm any strike for the same reward. So this thing here, it's called Biolab. You can see it's about 15 minutes or less to do this. So it's essentially the equivalent of a Destiny strike. Let's say I liked that tingling reactor. I'm like, great, I want to farm this to do the tingling reactor. But I've done this mission 50 times and I'm burning out and I'm not having fun anymore because doing the same single mission over and over does get tiresome. Well, you can click this option called Other Infiltration Support, which essentially will put you into another random strike equivalent, but you still find the same rewards as if you were doing this strike. So if I was looking for body enhancement, I select other infiltration, I can still get body enhancement from just doing a different strike, but I get the gameplay variety and don't necessarily, if I don't want to, have to do the same thing a billion times. I thought that was so cool. The next thing I love is that you can do anything while matchmaking. Imagine that. I can start this public operation. So not only does it tell me an estimated wait time, love that, just based on the amount of players that are searching, I can hit escape. You'll see in the top left, I'm currently matchmaking and I can just run around and do other fun stuff and I don't have to just sit in orbit for literally an unspecified amount of time, just hoping the players found number is going to go up. It gave me the estimate. It lets me run around, do other stuff. I love that. The 8th thing I love is the detailed junk filter. Let's say I was farming for a specific weapon and I only care if I find that weapon, and all the like lower tier trash, I don't want any of it because it's just clogging up my inventory. But you can set the junk filter to auto dismantle anything other than something that you want. So I can say, all right, keep the ultimate tier, basic, exotic tier weapons, and just auto dismantle all the purples. Bada bing, bada boom. You can do that for a bunch of different stuff. You can set very specific parameters. It's the equivalent in Destiny of saying, okay, I want to farm Ias Luna from, let's say, the Grasp of Avarice boss, and I want you to auto dismantle any Ias Luna that doesn't have one of the 2 perks I'm going for. Let's say I'm going for like opening shot on Ias Luna. You can have it just auto dismantle anything that doesn't roll with opening shot or, snapshot. So love the specificity of the junk filter. The 9th thing I love that this game does is that it constantly drip feeds you free rewards. So this is the mailbox, and half the time it feels like when I load into the tower, or this game's equivalent of the tower, they're just giving you free stuff. So thank you so much for this, thank you so much for this, and thank you so much for this. But you can see these are all just from the last week of playing this game. These are all the rewards it's hit me with, literally just for playing the game. It hits you with like 1 million gold at a time, and maybe this is just the degenerate gambler in me, but it feels good to just constantly be peppered with fun free rewards, like when you load into the tower. So maybe I'm just a monkey at a typewriter, but more surprise and delight free stuff just for playing the game. Please. The last thing I love is some of the bonkers emotes that really took me by surprise. So let's say you've got this one, H1 simulation, you can test it in game. It's literally a full-blown arcade machine. This is the emote. Or there's a bouncy ball. You can spawn a literal bouncy ball and hop around. Why can't I get on a bouncy ball in Destiny and slowly hop around the tower? Now, this game has you bouncing for other reasons, but that's neither here nor there. It's hilarious and it's outrageous and I love it. And the final one I couldn't believe when I saw this is you can spawn a full-blown hyper-realistic spa bath. I guess there's just something about Destiny's like holographic emotes that make it seem like trivial and deeply unserious. Whereas this style of emote, I'm super into it. 10 out of 10, no notes. So if you want to check out First Ascendant for free, you can click my link below to tell them I sent you. And thanks again to Nexon for sponsoring this video.